Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by Preferred Solutions team. I am Sanjay. We are learning MySQL Stored Procedure tutorial for beginners. This is our part number 13. Inside this video session guys, we will discuss about loop in MySQL Stored Procedure. In our previous video session, means in part number 11 and the 12, we had seen about the use of call repeat as well as while loop. Now this is about the third we are going to make use of in our MySQL Stored Procedure. So what is the syntax we have to follow to make use of loop in MySQL? If I back to next slide, now here is the syntax actually we have to follow to make use of loop. Okay, so here we have to provide loop label, and here we have to loop as a keyword. Here we have to provide the condition and the statement, and finally we have to end that loop. So how can we understand? Let's understand by making a simple program or a simple MySQL stored procedure. So back to our PHP MyAdmin. Now here I have opened a database. I am going inside routine section. Now inside routine section, go here and click on add routine. So let's say that get loop data. This is the routine name that I have specified. Now I don't want any parameters inside this, and let's write the code first. So let's say begin. If I make some zoom, so begin, let's say end. Now inside this begin and end block, we are going to provide our logic. So let's declare two variables first. So let's say declare x, and it should be int, and also I am to declare one more variable, and let's say that simply let's say output. This will be varchar. So let's say varchar, and it should be 50 characters in length. Now I'm going to initialize these two local variables. Let's say set x equal to something 1, and let's say set output equal to, let's say that I'm going to initialize with the empty value. So right now this is the simple structure actually we have to follow while making any MySQL stored procedure. Now after that we are going to implement about the logics of our loop. So let's say here we have to provide our loop label name. So let's say loop underscore label underscore 1, or something else. You can just specify something called loop underscore label underscore name colon symbol, and here I am to provide loop as a keyword. Enter here, and finally let's end, and let's say loop. So inside this loop and inside this end loop, we are going to provide our body section for this loop. So as in the previous video session, we had seen about using of while loop and the repeat loop. Actually here we had some condition. On the behalf of that condition, actually we will terminate the loop. So inside this loop also we have the termination condition. So what basically it is, if I back to a slide, go to next tab. Now here as we can see that inside the loop of MySQL stored procedure we have two options called iterate, and second is called leave. What basically iterate is, iterate basically continue the loop but escape at some condition. It means that we will provide some conditions inside if block, and while getting those conditions, if we want to escape those values, so on that situation we need to use called the iterate keyword. And let's say that we have made a loop and I want that the loop should iterate up to the value 5. After incrementing about 6, 7, it will terminate. So we will use something called leave here. So back to PHP MyAdmin. Now let's say that what basically I want that if let's say x greater than equal to 5, then what actually I want leave. So let's say end if first. So here we have to write less than equal to, greater than equal to, and here we have to write called end if. Now inside this, on getting x greater than equal to 5, we want to leave this leave, and here we have to copy and paste the loop label name. So on getting this condition, actually we are going to terminate our loop. Otherwise, let's say that set output equal to, let's say output, I'm going to use called the concat function, and inside this let's say output, and here I'm going to specify the x value, and also I want to concatenate with this comma symbol, and finally I'm going to set the value of x. So let's say x plus 1. So if I copy all the code, back to our slides, open a new tab, and I'm going to pasting all the codes right here, so back to the top. Now inside this begin and end block, we have declared two variables and successfully we have initialized as well. Scroll down, here we have to specify our loop label name. This is called loop name. Now inside this loop and end loop, we have to provide our logic. So let's say that I want that when the x value should increment almost up to 4, then we want to terminate the loop. So that's why we have used called leave here. Now if suppose x equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, so in that condition we want to print as the output actually what we have specified. So back to PHP and let's say that scroll down, and finally I'm going to use called the select and the output value. Now if I also do all the configurations right here, so let's root @localhost definer and it contains the SQL symbol. Now I'm going to click on go button. Now we have some error. So if I click on this error, now if we go up, and I think that here we have not specified semicolon. Now if I click on go button, successfully we have created our MySQL stored procedure, and this is something called get loop data. Now if I click on execute button, go at the top, now this is the output actually we got called 1, 2, 3 and the 4. Why 5? Because 5 is not getting inside this output. This is because when x becomes the value equal to 5, then we have actually get terminated from the loop. And for other values like x equal to 1, 2, 3 and the 4, these lines actually executed. Now let's take a scenario where actually we will use call the iterate. So let's say that we have numbers from 1 to 20. Now I want that only even numbers should be printed. We don't want actually the odd numbers. So if I back to PHP click on add routine, and let's say that get even numbers. Now we don't want any parameters inside this procedure, and let's say begin, and finally let's say end here. Now go inside this begin and end, I'm to declare two variables. So let's say declare, let's say x, and it should be int, and let's say declare, and let's say output, and it should be varchar. So let's say varchar, and let's say that 100 in length. Now I'm going to initialize these variables first. So x equal to let's say 1, and set let's say output equal to empty value. Now inside this block we have to write our logic. So firstly we have to provide our loop label name. So let's say loop underscore name. Now finally here we need to write as a loop as a keyword, and finally we need to write end loop. Okay, so inside this loop and end loop we have to provide our body section. So let's say that if I'm going to put the condition for the loop termination. So let's say if x greater than equal to 20, then we want that if we want that the loop should be terminated. So let's leave and the loop name. So copy that and pasting it here. So we have fixed our condition of terminating of this loop. When the x value exceeds about to 20 or more than 20, then we have to terminate from this loop section. Now let's say that we are going to add our logics for the even and the odd number. So let's say that set x equal to let's say x plus 1. Now we are going to use called the mod. If I back to slide, let's say that if we want to take the even numbers from a list of numbers, then we need to write if let's say x mod equal to 2. Mod basically gives you the remainder by dividing this number by 2. If we get any remainder, it means that it will be odd value, otherwise it will be even value if we get the remainder as 0. So back to PHP so let's say that if let's say x let's say mod 2, then inside this also we have to provide else block, and let's say else, and here let's say end if. Now inside this xmod2, this is the block for our odd numbers and this is the block for our even numbers. Why this is for odd? Because if it gives any remainder value, then it means that it is not even value, because even value after dividing by 2, it remains as a 0 value. So while getting an odd value, we need to iterate. So let's iterate, or let's loop underscore name. It means that we need to escape that value, but still we are in the loop section. Okay, here we have not actually terminated the loop, we have just continued the loop after escaping that value. Now inside this else block, let's say that set output equal to using concat of MySQL function, and I'm going to concatenate the value, let's say output, with the x value and with the comma symbol. Now finally we have done all the things. If I copy this variable and right here, let's say that select and let's say output. Now if I copy all the code back to a slide, open a new tab, pasting it here, now we have used or implemented all the conditions right here inside this loop block. As we can see that if we have the value more than 20 or equal to 20, then inside that condition we are going to terminate our loop. Otherwise we need to make use of this block. We are going to increment the x value by 1 if the value is odd, means remainder equal to something value, then inside that we need to escape that value. So we have used called the iterate here. Otherwise we are going to concatenate all the value and storing inside this output variable. So back to PHP my admin. Now let's say root @localhost and definer contains SQL, and if I press go button, successfully we have saved that. Now if I click on execute, click that, go at the top, and as we can see that 2, 4, 6, all the numbers actually we got are even numbers. So basically guys, this is about the third loop actually we had studied inside MySQL Stored Procedure. So inside this video session guys, if you have a doubt, then please drop your comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.